Hello, hello, hello. How's everybody doing out there tonight? I want to welcome everybody to another episode of Mannimal Research. I want to thank everybody for stopping in. Those of you that are going to watch with us tonight, and those of you that are going to come check us out later, we appreciate everybody all the same. Tonight, as always, joined by my partner in crime, Mr. Ricky Weaver. How's it going tonight, Ricky? You there, Ricky?
Hey, man.
Hey, how's it going
Oh,
tonight,
yeah.
Ricky? Doing all
Life's
right?
going good, man. Glad to be here. Yeah, I'm doing good.
Yeah, looks like we might have had a little bit of technical difficulty there, but might have that worked out. All right, everybody, want to, as always, ask everybody if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button. Subscribe to our channel, help us out, show us some love. We certainly appreciate it. And everybody else, everybody want to ask you or invite you to head over to our website. Check us out at mannimalresearch.com. You can report your sightings, your encounters there, and yeah, all that good stuff. We also have information. There's other information on the site. Just invite you guys to go and check it out. And as always, we invite you if you've had something happen to you and you want to be a part of the show and come on and share it with everybody. We welcome that. And if not, we can keep your identity secret. We can protect you in that way. But the important thing is just getting your encounter out there so that we can learn a little bit more about these guys' behavior. So yeah, check out our website, guys, if you don't mind. Ricky, heard you had a chance to get down to the lake. What
Yeah,
happened down there, buddy?
went down Wednesday night, Blake and I did, and checked the area out. We had a few coyote calls, and basically that's about it. But like I said, Wayne, it was another strange night down there. One of those nights it was real cloudy, real overcast. It was real eerie. Just I don't know. It was one of those nights that didn't. You seemed like you shouldn't have been there.
Yeah, kind of like that last overnight we did. Kind of
Right,
like that.
right.
Yeah, that was just creepy, man. I don't know what was going on there, but it was odd. So you guys didn't get any kind of vocalizations or anything like that?
No, all we got was some coyotes answering us back. I mean, we done wood knocks. We done basically about everything. I took quite a few still photos out in the cemetery and on back toward the back part of the lake, but I went through those, didn't come up with anything, so it just basically a dead night.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you swing and you miss, but the important thing is getting out there and doing it. And even on a bad night, it's not bad. You're out in nature, you're out with a buddy, having a good time and getting some exercise and some fresh air. So it's even on bad nights, it's not that bad.
Exactly it.
All right, tonight we are going to welcome back Mr. Dan Lindholm coming back. Here we go. He's part of the Big Truth on YouTube. He's got a channel on there, and his blog is bigtruth.blogspot.com. So guys, go check him out. He was on a few weeks ago talking about his encounter him and some of his friends had back when they were teenagers up on Pinnacle Rock in California, I believe. I'm not sure. But yeah, Dan kind of left us on the edge of our seat at the end of that one. He talked about some stuff that he had gotten involved with in Florida, and we were out of time, so we asked him if he would come back and kind of pick up where he left off, and he agreed. So we are very happy to have Dan back. You got anything before we get started, Ricky?
No, other than just tell everybody that please be safe out there with the coronavirus that's still floating around. Just take precautions and be safe and enjoy life as best you can with everything we've got going on.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Well said. Well, all of that being said, we'll go ahead and get Dan in here. Dan, how's it going, buddy?
I'm doing great. We're doing real good. How you guys doing?
Doing good?
Doing good.
All right, right.
Yeah, doing all right. So, Dan, you told us about your encounter last time up on Pinnacle Rock. It was a very interesting encounter. You guys got some good visuals, some good up close visuals of a Sasquatch. And before we had left, you started talking about some stuff that happened to you in Florida, and we wanted to get you back to talk about that. And I've been excited to hear it, buddy. So, yeah, man, the floor is yours. So just take off and tell us anything you want to tell us.
All right, sounds great. All right, so my brother from another mother, Ed Brown, he calls me up one day and tells me we're going to Florida. And I've never been to Florida. I live in Oregon. It's quite a ways away. So yeah, he tells me we're going to Florida, and I didn't even know if I was going to be able to make the trip. And sure enough, I was able to come up with some money for gas and such, and I drove my new Challenger that I got. I took it all the way across the country and back, 6,100 miles. That was an awesome trip. This is last summer.
I bet.
But anyway, so we go to Florida to this place. It's a well-known place. This is Bill and Carolyn Bridges. They were on one of the first episodes of Finding Bigfoot, maybe even the first one, where I don't know if you guys recall, but there was an episode where these people had a Bigfoot's handprint on the inside of the glass pane on they had like a half screen.
I do.
And it was on the front door of their house. A Bigfoot had reached in it and touched the inside of the glass, and they had pictures of it and that. And Finding Bigfoot came out there. And this is a real interesting place with a whole lot of history. This is also the place where Stacy Brown went to go make a movie, and they had a trailer out that was all over Facebook for a little while, and turned out that it didn't happen. And just a little insider thing, part of the reason why it didn't happen was because Caroline wanted the entire story told, and Stacy Brown wanted to only talk about Bigfoot in his film. All right. So as researchers, we can all see Stacy's side of that, where, publicly we're all a little shy about talking about things like interdimensional portals and things like that. But these things are happening on her property, and she wanted it all told. All right. So now this is my theory on this. After being there and everything, I don't know if there's a connection between the portals and Bigfoot. All right. I'm not saying they come out of the portals. She's not saying they come out of the portals. Nobody's saying they've seen them come in or out of the portals. But these portals exist on this land, and Bigfoot also exists on this land. Now, I think personally that they may be attracted to the energy of something like this, and that's why you have a lot of correlation where people say, that there was some kind of portal at the same place. Okay, now I just want to start off also by saying that, physicists, real world scientists, physicists say that there's at least 16 dimensions. They are interacting, and that there is interdimensional portals. So this is not something that's just a woo deal or just like something that's just made up by people. This is a fact of science that these portals exist. All right. Now, there's a portal on her land, and they can see it from the deck off the back of their house. And there's a big forest behind their house, and their house sits way above. So they're looking at the tops of the trees on a lot of it. And this area down below is kind of cleared out. And interesting enough, that a hurricane came through there a couple of years ago, and the eye of the hurricane was only about maybe 10, 15 miles away from them. It passed by. So there was some really, really strong winds through there, and it just tore everything up. That forest is just torn up. But oddly enough, the place where this portal is, and this is just a strange coincidence probably, but all the tree fall, these huge trees fell everywhere, but they all fell away from where this portal is, which was really strange. All right. It was something that we observed just being out there crawling over trees to get there and everything. And once we got there, and the reason I say that I know it's there is because I saw it with my own eyes. All right. I could see physical evidence. I think I mentioned this last time. There's about a 3-foot circle in the middle where there was hardly any vegetation at all compared to around it. And then about 9 feet out from the center of that circle, there was about a 1 foot wide concentric circle that went around. Same thing, lack of vegetation that you can see with your eyes. You can see, and it was real consistent on the width all the way around. And I stood there with my hand out in front of and looking down my arm, for sight, and looking at the center of the outside ring. And I was standing in the center of the middle ring. And I went around in a circle, trying my best to keep my arm exactly still so that I could see if it was round. Sure enough, my hand never left that circle all the way around. It was like a perfect circle around the inner circle, and you could see it. And I stood there in the middle of that thing. And I said, is it about right here? And they said, yeah, right there is where this thing supposedly is. And I guess I'm the first one that ever even noticed that you can actually see it with your eyes, that where this place is. All right. So backtracking a little bit, a couple years back, Carolyn found these guys in camos walking around her property, and it was the U.S. government. All right. Now, I'm going to divulge a bunch of information here that people do not know. We went there to make a movie. This movie's not getting made. And
are they still working? Are they still in talks to try to make the movie?
No, this movie's not going to be made.
So it's dead.
At some point, this information is going to come out, and I'm not sure part of whatever happens, and we'll get this information out to so I'm going to divulge a little bit of information that's like under a lot of people, there's a small group of people's hats up to this point, because it's still not even official that there's not a movie, but I'm just saying there's not going to be a movie. Okay. So that she had the military on her property, and she confronted these guys and talked to them, and she's been talking to them over the last several years now, since the time she first met them. And they're the ones that told her that there was these 2 portals on her property. Supposedly there's a good one and a bad one. Now the good one, or whatever, is the one that's off their porch, down in the forest there. And the other one, I don't know where it is. It's somewhere out there. Okay. Now, long story short, they've been there studying. And they were there for about 6-8 years before she ever knew they were there on her property. And they've been there studying these portals. They came out here with these scientist guys, and one of them was like a physicist, and then there was one that was like, like a biologist or whatever, like the natural world was his specialty or whatever. And they were out there. And this physicist guy actually went inside that portal and disappeared from our world for about 20 minutes. And he came back out. And he came back out safe and sound. And the world that he saw there was different than our world, but it was beautiful. There was nice little animals running around. It was a beautiful, beautiful place. And
let me interrupt you, Dan. So he physically disappeared.
Exactly.
Yes, and sir. Were there people around to witness this?
Yeah, the military group was there. There was, several in uniform, and then there was I think there was 3 scientists in total, and one of them went in there. So there are witnesses to this fact out there in the world.
I'm assuming that they got this on film, on footage, right?
Well, I don't know. We're talking about the U.S. government here.
Yeah.
You know, I'm assuming they probably do. All right, or they've definitely got, you know, statements from everyone involved, and you know, a very good record of the incident. All right.
Okay.
So again, I don't know if portals have anything to do with Bigfoot. All right, but I do know that there's definitely something going on at that place. Now, after we were down there poking around the very first time, when I noticed the circles and I you know, look, and I kind of documented a little bit, I had my little camera out and I was taking some footage of the little circles and everything, and we took off, and I'd set up a couple game cams right there just to kind of watch the area, just in case if a portal opens up while I'm in the area. I'd hate to miss it. You know what I mean? So I had it set up, and we took off, went and did some other things, and went and filmed some other places, and we're scoping out the property on the other end of the property. And much later, like a couple days later, we went down there, and we noticed that there's a big tree. And like I said, all the other trees fell away from this portal thing. Well, this tree fell right into it. And the top of the tree was right in the middle of the portal, where now I couldn't take measurements, you know, anymore of the circles or get documentation going. And it was just really odd. It was 40 minutes after we walked away and left. And like I say, we were on the other end of the property. We were walking around. There was no storm. There was no nothing. And all of a sudden, this big old huge tree ends up down. And I mean, it lived through a hurricane, not too many months prior, you know. So that was really, really odd. All right. So we got this guy with us, and so I'm gonna get away from the portal now. That's kind of what happened with the portal. We kind of I saw it with my own eyes. I totally tripped out. Nothing actually that I know of ever came in or out of the portal. It never opened up while we were there for 4 or 5 days. All right. But we were in and out. We weren't there, you know, checking out the portal the whole time. Like I said, I set up some game cams and we walked away. But we went on this ghost investigation over there at this place. And there was a guy, his name is Ryan Singer. And he's a comic that runs all around the country doing comedy act. And but he's a really, really smart guy. And he's also into a lot of paranormal stuff. And Bigfoot's just part of the paranormal, you know, umbrella for him. You know, it's just a thing that he's not like a Bigfoot expert or nothing. He hasn't done a whole lot of squatching, but he's very interested in the subject and as a paranormal guy. So Ryan's out here and he's done quite a few ghost investigations. And there's this on the adjacent property to their property, which their property is really big. It's I think it's over 100 acres. It's big. But the adjacent property, they did some logging over there a couple of years ago, and there's an old cabin there that's really dilapidated. I mean, you can see inside of it in places, and you got to watch where you step on the inside so you don't fall into a hole. And it's like really, and supposedly somebody committed suicide in this old cabin. So we went to go do this ghost investigation over there and just see if there was any weird things going on. And I've never been part of anything like that. You know, I'm strictly in Bigfoot field. I don't dabble in ghost stuff, or, you know, not that I don't believe in ghosts, but it just doesn't interest me enough to spend my time going after that. You know, I just want to spend my time going after Bigfoot. So we do this little ghost investigation. And it was interesting as heck, you know, and he had all the little tools. He had a spirit box, you know, so it's running through all the channels on the station and trying to hear. And we did catch on audio some kind of strange things that I can't even remember exactly what it was, but there was a few times where it sounded like an answer. And, you know, it was interesting, weird, and we had all the lights off and it was dark, and, you know, you know, we had the atmosphere. And so basically after a couple hours of this, we say, well, we haven't got anything really solid in here with the ghost thing, you know. So let's go outside and go check out, or just go around the outside of the building. And Ryan's saying maybe there's some spirit activity out there or something, you know. And I'm like, all right, let's do that. So we go outside, and there is trees down everywhere. You can't just walk into the backyard. You got to crawl over a couple trees to get there. So we go walking around, and there's me and Ed Brown and my stepson, who was running the camera at the time. So we got a cameraman and me and Ed, and we're walking around the side of the building. And Ryan at the time went with somebody else and went to, there's another outbuilding over there, and they went to go investigate that end of the building, or that end of the property. So we're going in the backyard, and I get over the trees first, and Ed's helping Justin get the cameras over the first couple trees. And I get to the backyard, and at the back of the backyard, there's another tree down, and about neck high, there was a big limb sticking out, you know, part of the trunk probably or something. And this tree's down, but you know, there's a big piece up here, and there's a little spot through the branches and stuff where I can see through there pretty good. And so I just go up to the back of that, and I'm just looking out, and it's a pretty good clear from where the loggers came in there and just cleared out that whole area, you know. It sets back, I think, all the way to Bill and Caroline's property, which was back quite a ways, you know, 100 yards. It's a ways back. And I'm looking out that way, and I think I see some lights. So I'm like, dude, I think I see some lights. And, you know, there's a history of orbs around this place, and I'm just like, well, what the heck, you know? So then my ears are perked up, and I'm thinking maybe there's some orbs going on or something. And then I see some red lights, and I'm like, no, it's not no orbs. It's just the freeway. Don't worry about it. You know, it's off miles away, but you can see the little bit of light through the trees from the freeway over there. And so I'm still looking out there, just kind of soaking it in while these guys are still 15, 20 feet behind me trying to catch up, getting over these logs. And all of a sudden, something just jumps up. I'm talking 30 feet in front of me. Something just jumped up and took off running. And I could hear it. There's like little pea gravel, you know, underneath everything else. And you could hear it plain as day. This thing jumps up and takes off running, and it's bipedal. And it's choo, 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 choo. And I hear it, and I go, and I turn around. Did you guys hear that? And they didn't even hear it right behind me, because that tree was kind of blocking their, you know, the sound from even getting to them. And I was kind of in another environment with my head, you know, looking out into the field. And sure enough, nobody else heard it, but I told them about it, and I yelled over. And so here's this house, and then on the side of the house over here is where we parked. And there's just a little drive, and that's where the other guys were. There was like four guys over there. We had some security guys with us, and one of the security guys had a real good FLIR, and he could take video with the FLIR. And I yell over, and I tell him, I heard something get up and run. It went that way, you know. And he gets out his FLIR, and he starts looking around, and bam, he sees something. Big hot something, and he gets, I think it's video. It's either video. I think it is video, but it doesn't move. But he got a couple seconds of video, or it might have just been a picture. But you can see it's something like this. It's the top of this little knoll, quite a ways from us. But the hill just dives down after that, and it's the top of this little knoll where it kind of flattens out. And he was up like this, looking at us, and you can see the head, you can see the eye sockets are hot, real hot. You know, you can make out the features of the face because it's a pretty good FLIR, and it was so hot. And it's a head and big shoulders, and you know, it kind of looks like it's like this, like it was laying on its stomach looking at us. So he gets this screenshot, you know, and I have it, I got it. It's really, really good. And then about 5-10 minutes later, you know, he's still scanning, and we're working our way back over to where they're at, and he's still looking around, still scanning. We're already back, and he's still scanning with this thing, and he sees it again, and he thinks he gets it on video or the picture, whatever. And he said it was on all fours, and it was coming towards us. And it was like, it wasn't out that way. It was that way. It was like, it was 90 degrees away back that way, or 45 degrees away. You know, it had moved again. And what happened when it ran out? It went out a ways, and it did just what I would think a Bigfoot would do. It went out a little ways, and it circled back around. It didn't come back exactly where it went out into the forest. It went out a ways and came back at a different point where it could get a vantage point and look at us and watch us. Then it moved more. After we seen it, it moved more, and then like I said, it was coming towards us, and he thought he got that on video or at least a picture or something. And you know, about 10 minutes after that, he's trying to show us, and he had that first picture, but he did not have that second one for some reason. He you know, didn't hit the button, or his thing didn't have the power to record. That's what I think it was. I think it was about ready to die, and it didn't have the power to record. So we missed that on all fours. That would have been really great. But we did get a good thermal there of this Bigfoot that I heard it run, man. I'm telling you. So that was really good where you got corroborating evidence. You know, we got the thermal to back up my story, you know, which was really, really cool.
Now, have you shared what you have?
Not yet, sir.
Okay.
Not yet. We're gonna share it. We're gonna share some of this stuff. I'm gonna get my hands on that thermal, and we're gonna share that. It's one of the better ones. It really is, because like I say, you can see the heat of the eyes, and you can see the shape of this thing. And it's not a bear, and it's not a mountain lion. It looks like a dang Bigfoot is what it looks like. It's pretty neat. So yeah, I'm not sure I think it was that night. Later that very night, me and Justin are off. There's a campsite where we went and camped a couple miles away, and the security guys, they had a motel a few miles away, and they were over there. And Ed and Ryan were staying in this little shack down at the bottom of the driveway. It's called the Sugar Shack, and it's just a nice little place with a bed. And their son used to stay down there, you know, a lot, and it's kind of like just a home away from home, or like a little guest house kind of thing, but real small, you know. But there was even a TV and everything in there, really cool. So Ed and Ryan were in there looking over some video from the day and talking, and Ryan decided he was going to go up and take a shower up at the house. And he walks out of the cabin, and from inside the cabin, Ed said it sounded like a car horn right outside. But Ryan got about 10 feet from the cabin, and he got screamed at by a Bigfoot. And it was just like we all looked on our YouTube videos and everything to try to find screams and such, and we found a couple that sounded like what he said he heard. And it was funny because they put this sand on their driveway all the way up and down their driveway, you know, so it'd get beat in by the cars, and it worked real good. And you can see his feet where he just dug in and took off running like a sumbitch towards the house when that thing screamed at him. And he ran up to the house, and he ran inside the house, and to see it shocked everybody that was standing there. There was several people in there, Bill and Carolyn and David Wright, who just died, by the way, was there. And so he goes running in the house and slams the door, and he's locking all the locks he can find and locking, and everybody's like, what in the heck happened, you know? And he told him the story, and he was clearly affected. He wanted to leave that night and go back to California. He wanted the hell out of there, you know, the heck with this. I don't want nothing else to do with this. Like I said, he dabbled in Bigfoot a little bit, but he's not ever even really been out squatching, I don't think, you know. So he was deeply affected by this, you know. And to this day, I just talked to him, you know, he interviewed me he does a podcast, and he's still to this day really affected by that, and he will not go out in the woods by himself. Nothing.
Wow.
It was, and then we actually casted a 16-inch print there as well, a real nice print right there, and a couple of the toes showed real good, and we broke out the casting material, and we got a cast that was right, you know, 50 feet from the side of the house out in their yard, you know, their extended yard, and it's a great place. I'd love to go back for sure.
How much property do they own up there?
I think it's 100 acres or 120 acres, something like that. It's quite a few acres of land, and all the people around them. It's a real rural place. It's not like, you know, it's not even close to town. It's miles to town, 5-6 miles to town, and so the nearest neighbors are somebody else that has a bunch of property, you know, and then somebody else that has a bunch of property. And like I say, that one adjacent property is abandoned right now. Nobody lives on that, and that's a bunch of acres right there. So it's pretty remote. And also interestingly enough, the history of the place, there used to be an Indian village exactly where their house is. And there's a slope from their house going down the hill to where the portal is. There's a slope that was actually man-made by the Indians so they could get down there to the creek and get their water and not have to, you know, trudge down the hill to get there. And it made this nice ramp made out of earth. And yeah, so it's a really interesting, really cool place with a lot of history.
Now, what got all of the interest started on this property? Did the owners, did they start encountering something? They start experiencing something? What did they think it was, and how did you and Stacy Brown and all these Bigfooters? I mean, you see what I'm saying? Like what started all of it with her property?
Well, I think it was just finding Bigfoot going out there. And then Stacy Brown actually spent a lot of time on their property over the years. And him, it was about, you know, a famous place where there's Bigfoot, I'm going to go there. You know, I do the same thing right here in Southern Oregon. If there's some place where there's a lot of action, like, you know, I'm more or less the steward of Soha now, Matthew Johnson's Southern Oregon habituation area, because I'm the only one that goes there, and, you know, nobody even really knows where the place is except for the people that have gone there with him, and they probably couldn't find their way back. So, you know, I'm definitely that kind of guy that's going to go to the places where it's a hot spot and you know that there's some real live activity has gone on. So he tended to frequent the area. He actually became friends with them over the years, and that's how that movie became going to be made originally with him. And that's how my friend Ed Brown got involved. In the trailer you might have seen in Facebook, Ed Brown was playing the main character, the not Caroline, of course, but Bill, her husband. And my buddy Ed Brown was playing Bill Bridges. And so he spent 2 weeks there on the property with Stacy Brown and the whole crew, and you know, they filmed an entire movie there. And they're beautiful people, really, really beautiful people, very gracious hosts. I would love to go visit them again, and I'm sure they'd be glad to have me because that's just the kind of people they are. They're really, really nice people. I love them.
Now, is this a habituation type situation going on down there?
No, they're not leaving nothing out. They're not leaving out no food or nothing. They don't particularly want this stuff going on. All right, okay. It's kind of a curse on them because they can't get away from it. You know, it's they own the land, they own the property, they're not going to go anywhere, and they've had more than just a couple things happen, you know, with Bigfoot things, and there's been quite a few people go out there to do Bigfoot research that have had a lot of stuff go on, like us. You know, we go out there for a couple days, and that was a lot of stuff to happen on one expedition. You know what I mean? You just don't. Oh, and we also had a tree pushed over when we were out on one of our just day hikes, running around out there chasing noises, thinking there might be a Bigfoot out there, and sure enough, a tree. And this was just a still day. There was like no wind, and a tree comes down. You know, and I've had that happen to me probably 4 or 5 times now in the field, where it's kind of a frustration thing on their part. I think they're trying to show you their power without showing themselves, you know, more or less.
Yeah, I think so. Okay, now I think you briefly mentioned something earlier about, I mean, just a couple minutes ago, you had said something about a habituation site or a situation you have going on in Oregon.
Right, and I'm not a habituator either, But Matthew Johnson, this place is famous. The people that have been around the community for a long time know exactly who Matthew Johnson is. And a couple years ago, he came out with this great big thing about, you know, all these souls from, or 10,000 souls from another planet came here, and he helped them through the Stargate and all this. So he's, honestly, in my opinion, he's gone off the deep end a little bit. All right. I can guarantee there's Bigfoot in Soha. I went there with, this is the spot where Adam Davis saw, I don't know if you know, you're hip on this story either, but he saw these two little black guys, the interdimensional creatures, and they actually came out of a freaking portal right there in front of Adam. And this is after Matthew Johnson went to bed, and he handed Adam his I think it was a 45, 48, it was a pistol, handed it to him and said, you know, protect my son. Because his little boy was there, about 12 years old too. And they're out sleeping on cots out there at Soha. All right. And Adam Davis and John Carlson are out there with them. And Adam, at that time, I think Adam still lived in England. And he came to America to hit a few spots and part of his World Explorer thing. And he's studying Bigfoot, right? And that's one of the places he went, was with Matt Johnson at Soha. So Matthew's gone to sleep. He says nothing's going to happen until we go to sleep, you know. So Matthew Johnson just goes to bed. His kid goes to bed, and Adam and John are out there, and they see this light just right down the road, where the road where you drive in. Actually, I go a different way actually and hike in, but that's the way that we came in, and just right on the access road, right in the middle of the road, they saw this light, and it would start to shimmer and shake, and it got a little bigger and a little bigger. And he said it was like it was gathering energy or something, and it would take about 20 minutes for this thing to open all the way up. And then he could see a red sky, blue trees. Adam could, through this hole. All right. And it was like daylight. It's totally dark where they're at, and these things come out of there. And Matthew Johnson ended up calling them the guardians of the portal and all this. He doesn't know what they were. He was asleep. These things were not nice. All right. Adam got the feeling they were not nice. And him and John are going, you know, what are we going to do about this? You know, I think they want us to go to sleep. And the other guy says, well, what if we don't go to sleep? And right about then, those two little son of bitches come charging at him. Those little black, 3 foot tall, real buffed, not hairy. It wasn't Bigfoot. They were like evil demon little sons of bitches or something. And they come running at him. And Adam thought he was a dead man. All right. He had this big mag flashlight, and he had it on, and he had it tucked under his arm. And they come running at him, and he goes like this to protect himself, thinking he's dead. And when he did that, he flashed the light on these things, and poof, they're gone. All right.
Daryl just asked, what year did this happen, Dan?
This was, I think it was 2013 or 14. When we went there, it was 2015, and it was Adam's return trip, coming back for the first time after this happened.
And this is Southern Oregon, you said?
Yes, sir.
You're talking about Oregon here, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right.
So this is the place I'm going now, is where this dang portal's at, and there's evil demons, all right? But anyway, this happened all night long. They sat there and they watched this thing, and it, like I say, it would take about 20 minutes to regenerate. And until the sun came up, it happened 6, 7, 8 times. This thing opened up, and when these things came out, Adam would just shine his flashlight on them and make them disappear, and the whole thing just disappeared, and then it'd come back, and it was coming back. Strangest thing ever, you know. And people are all, it was, you know, maybe he had some set up hologram thing or something. There's no freaking way, man. This is way on the top of a mountain. You know what I mean? It's just, it would be impossible for somebody to get away with that. And Adam Davis is no stupid person. He's one of the smartest people. He's probably the smartest person I've ever met. He's not going to be fooled.
Any pictures or video or anything?
No, sir. No.
Why would he not, I wonder?
You know, I don't even know.
Hmm.
And he didn't really want everybody to know about it either. Adam didn't. because it was beyond the realm of normal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Matthew Johnson's the one that just released that to everybody, trying to make a star of himself, you know, using Adam Davis' name to you know, make himself look better. And you know, and now what Matthew I'll talk about this because I just heard Adam talking about this in an interview. Is he's taking people that really are desperate for a cure, and he's taking them up where his Bigfoot are, and I'm not sure where he's at now, in the Soya they call it. It's another Soha, but he's telling people that he can heal them, or the Bigfoot's healed him a couple times, and Bigfoot can heal them. And you know, Adam grew up with a sister that was deathly ill, and his parents went through years of just desperation trying to find anything, you know. So it really hit Adam hard that this guy is, you know, taking advantage of people, and for $50 a head, I'll take you up there, and you know, Bigfoot will cure you. You know, that's just not right. It's just
Who's doing
morally
this?
wrong.
Who
You know,
is it that's doing this?
is Dr. Matthew Johnson, and he's a psychologist. When he had his original encounter at the Oregon Caves, he was on national TV. He was on the CBS morning show. He was on the Today Show, I think. You know, he was on a few different shows because he was real credible, because he was a doctor, you know. He was a credible person. And yeah, and I'm telling you, there's Bigfoot there. I didn't see a Bigfoot there, but Kirk Brown, who I was with when I was there with Adam Davis, Kirk Brown, Russell Accord, and Ed Brown, we were there at Soha for 5 days when Adam went back. And the idea, I'll tell you right now, the idea was if these things came, we were going to kill them, or try to. With these little black things, not Bigfoot. We're not talking about killing Bigfoot, all right? We're talking about these evil little things that came out, all right? So we go there, and I'm telling you, that place is weird, strange, whatever you want to call it. It's got a curse. I don't know, all right? But I'm there with Kirk Brown in the middle of the night, probably 2, 3 in the morning, and everybody else is asleep at this point. And Kirk walks over to the edge of camp. And I think I might have mentioned this last time, but if I didn't, it stopped me if I mentioned this part. So all of a sudden he gets crouched down, and then he stands back up, and he turns around and comes right back to camp. And does that sound familiar?
I don't remember that.
Okay. So he comes back and he says, "Come over here with me." And I'm all right. So we walk over to the edge of camp, and we got just about to where he went, and boom, that feeling of being watched, man, it hit us like, it just hit me like a rock, man. Just boom, the hair standing up on the back of my neck. It's just that feeling that something really big is watching you, a predator. And he goes, "You feel it?" I'm all, yeah, I feel it. And he goes, "All right, now stoop down like I did. Stoop down low." And we both did it. We both stooped down. And sure enough, that feeling, it went from a 10 down to nothing. And all of a sudden, there was no feeling of being watched. It's like, what in the heck? He goes, "All right, now stand back up." And I stand up. And sure enough, that feeling went right back up. Boom. So I can tell you guys right now that feeling, if you get it, for one thing, trust it. But for another, it's a line of sight thing. If you get that feeling, there's eyes on your skull. All right. I'm telling you, that's what it is. It's a line of sight thing. So, you know, that clues you in to how far away they might be, or, you know, just by the terrain around you. It can help a lot, just knowing that it's a line of sight. It's definitely a line of sight thing when there's eyes on you. And I can tell you, you know, if you're in a crowded cafeteria and somebody's staring at the back of your head from way over there, you're going to turn right around and look them right in the eye. And I don't know if you guys have ever experienced that, but it's human nature. It's not special. It's not psychic. It's not woo. All right. That feeling, that tingly feeling that you get when you're being watched is a natural, it causes the fight or flight instinct to kick in. It's what used to save us from saber-toothed tigers. You know, it's our natural thing. I'm telling you, it's not woo. And I go by that a lot. I used to not trust it. I used to say, you know, oh, it's just my mind trying to play tricks on me. You know, but then I'd start saying, you know, I'm really getting that feeling to my friend or whoever I was with, you know. Sure enough, a couple minutes later, here come the rocks, and rocks are being thrown at us, you know, and it's like, whoa, you know, and it started to correlate like that. All right, so I started to trust it a lot more. And man, I can tell you still, I can walk. When we walked, my buddy Mike and I, we walked up to Sky Lakes Basin from 4 Mile Lake, and hardly anybody's probably familiar with the area, but we walked 10 miles, all right, to get in there. And it was the worst 10 miles of my life. I almost died. I'm going to go ahead and tell you the story because there's a Bigfoot story here too. All right, all the way in there, this 10 miles, it took us 8 hours, all right, to hike in there. And there was one place where we stopped for lunch, where we kind of got that feeling where something might have been out in the woods, and we got that feeling of being watched. And when we left that place, it followed us for just a little ways. And then that's the only time in 10 miles, the only time all the way in that we felt anything. All right. So I'm not one of those guys that thinks Bigfoot's behind every rock. I can tell you that right now, you know, and I'm saying that the feeling thing, it really helps because that cued us in if something was going on. Right. On the way back out the next day, we were ready to call for a helicopter, get us out. I'm telling you, we were ready to die. All right. Seriously, we had these huge packs on our backs. It was a long, long hike getting in there. When we got there that night before, all we could do was make a bed and go to sleep. You know, and we got up in the morning and we had to try to get the hell out of there. It was the worst thing I've ever done in my life. I hope to never, ever do anything like that again. And I can guarantee I won't. All right. It was awful. But
so you were just tired from the 10-mile walk?
Right. Just really, 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 and not just tired, but we only had so much water. We only had like, you know, another bottle of water to get another 5 miles out. And, you know, we're trying to hurry, but we can only go so fast because we're on our deathbeds. And I mean, seriously, it was awful. It was really, really bad. All right. And I was really seriously thinking about just trying to make it to the top of the mountain in the morning and calling out for help and trying to get somebody to come in a different way or something instead of going back out the way we came. But we went ahead and toughed it out. And on the way back, just right about the spot where we ate lunch, right past that spot, only a couple hundred yards, Mike's behind me a little ways, 20, 30 yards behind me. And we're just making our way, you know, we're just walking like the death march. And he tells me that he's getting the feeling being watched. And I didn't have that feeling yet. And I was like, okay, cool. And I'm just, let's go. We got to go. And thank God we're on a downhill slope right at this point. You know, it was downhill almost all the way out, thank God. And we're sludging along. And he says, I'm really getting that feeling, Dan. And sure enough, I started feeling a little bit too. And I said, yeah, I feel it too. It feels like something's watching us. And he pointed up on the hill and he said, it's up there. I feel like it's something, it's up there on the hill somewhere. You know, there was a big slope mountain right there. And so we're walking a little further. And all of a sudden he goes, I just saw a branch move. And I turned around and I looked at him and he pointed up the mountain. And he was still a little ways behind me, like I say, but I just pointed exactly where he pointed. And there's a Bigfoot up, way up there. He was up there a ways, but there was a perfect little tunnel through the trees there where I could see him way up there. And I seen this silhouette. It was probably from about his mid torso up. You know, I could see shoulders, arms, and head. And it's just dark. There's some leaves in a tree behind him that were lit up by the sun at that point. And it was just a black silhouette up there. And I see him and he sees me, and I can tell. I mean, just immediately I had that feeling of being watched like tenfold. It was like I knew that I had eyes on him and he had eyes on me. And I told Mike, I said, I see him. I see him right now. He's looking at me. I'm looking at him. Come here. Come here. And again, I didn't reach for my phone. You know, I didn't, for one thing, I was afraid to take my eyes off it. I didn't turn my head to look at Mike. I just yelled at him. I was trying to keep my eyes on this thing. And I didn't even want to reach for my phone and try to turn on my camera or anything like that. I was just trying to soak in the moment and take this in. And as I'm looking at him, as Mike's trying to get over where I'm at, he does this number and starts sinking down. And it was so slow, I didn't even really register that he was moving at all. But next thing you know, his head was disappearing. He's gone. Then this is how people think they cloak or they disappear. They got tricks. All right. I'm looking right at this guy. And I'm telling you, I couldn't discern the motion, but all of a sudden he was gone. And that's what happened. He just went down. And about that time, Mike finally got to me. And I told him where it was. And he didn't see him because I couldn't even see him at this point, but I could still feel him. And I knew his eyes were still on me. And I told him exactly where it was up on the hill. And sure enough, he could feel it too. And he said, yeah, I can definitely feel him that I'm watching him and he's watching me. And we're sitting there and it's like tense. It's hard to describe, but we know there's a Bigfoot there. We know for a fact. We can't see him, but we know because we can feel him. All right. And Mike goes, let's wave at him. And I go, all right. And we do this number. We give him a big old wave like this while we're both looking at him. And I'll tell you what, that feeling from 10 went to 100. That feeling of being watched all of a sudden was fight or flight from that Bigfoot. It was the craziest thing I've ever felt in my life. We both felt it like crazy. It was like when we waved at him, he freaked. And like it was fight or flight, but not from us. It wasn't us feeling it. It was the Bigfoot. And he was freaked out when we waved at him because he knew that he was being seen, and he thought he was hiding. So, and sure enough, we didn't see him pop up and run or anything like that, but he slithered away. He got out of there and he got out of our sight because that feeling of being watched went away. And we're just standing there going, wow, that was wild. And we couldn't stop talking about it after that all the way back because just the feeling, I've never felt anything like that before in my life. That was the most intense thing ever because we were tapped into that Bigfoot and he felt that fight or flight, man. And it was transferred to us where he was ready to fight us, or run. And man, it was scary, but it was really super exciting. And it was just, and any other time, I would have ran up that freaking mountain, tried to find some footprints, get some kind of evidence, look for broken branches, anything that I could get on video to try to correlate with my story, But at this point, man, we were ready to die. I'm serious. We just wanted to get to the truck. And I mean, it was seriously like a matter of life or death where this is not the time for us to be squatching. That was awesome. I actually expected him to follow us for a ways, and I even told Mike, he's probably just going to follow us. So maybe we'll get to see him again, but sure enough, he did not follow us. I didn't feel another damn thing. Neither did Mike. He freaked out when we waved at him, man. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting, man. We're coming up on an hour. I know it don't feel like it, but we're right there at it.
Damn, it goes fast, don't it?
It always does, man. I got your bigtruth.blogspot.com down there, sharing with people, and also you're on YouTube, right?
Yes, sir.
Big Truth on YouTube. Are you anywhere else? Anything else you want to share?
Well, I wrote a couple books.
Okay.
The Wild Boy of Kentucky is a book I wrote that This guy was on his deathbed, and I got a hold of him on Facebook. He just asked, first he posted a little clip of his story in a group, and I got real interested, became his friend, and then he posted on his personal page that he needed some help, if somebody could write for him. And I said, yeah, man, I do some writing. I could help you out. And he sends me this stream of texts that you wouldn't believe. Turned out to be a 100-page book. All right. So, but about the time I got it all edited and fixed, he is when he died. He was in hospice when he sent me the stuff. And I never did get even the full story, but what I got was amazing. An amazing story of this little boy who befriended a Bigfoot boy, and they would run in the forest together and play. And he learned a whole bunch of stuff about Bigfoot that it's a lot of it is real questionable, and it ties in with a lot of theories, and it's a very interesting book, but also really great, especially for the kids, you know, for little kids or something. It's a really great story. So that's available on Amazon and Kindle. And I've also got my Northern California Sasquatch stories. I wrote those videos that I made. I wrote all those stories into a book as well. And that's also available on Amazon and Kindle under Dan Lindholm. So we got those, and you know, we got a lot of ongoing stuff. In fact, my buddy just saw Bigfoot yesterday, Mike Jones. And we had what otherwise would have been called a skunk day. We didn't have no action. We did a bunch of hiking. We really didn't hear nothing, you know, we didn't feel much going on. We had the millimeter going. We didn't really catch nothing on that. And we're just sitting in this little makeshift camp where we were at, and eating something. And sure enough, just right down the road, we were at Soha, and it was right about the spot where that portal opened up for Adam. Right down the street there, and it was right off the side of the street. He saw a black figure coming up into the bushes, and then it turned and took off. And it was just yesterday. So yeah, again, we didn't. It felt like a nothing day, but then he saw a dang Bigfoot, and he tried, you know, like every other time, tried to explain it away, but that's exactly what it was, and he couldn't really say it was anything else.
Yeah.
Now,
So
these portals, for our viewers, have you ever actually saw one of these things open yourself?
I have not. No, sir. No, sir. We saw a spark of light when we were all there at Soha, and 2 guys had the thermal goggles on, and 2 guys did not. And I can tell you, all 4 of us saw an orange flash, even through the goggles, that you can only see white, green, and black in those goggles, but they saw an orange flash inside the goggles, and we saw it with our naked eye. It's a really strange place. It's a trip.
okay. What was the name of your books again? One more time, real quick.
The Wild Boy of Kentucky and Northern California Sasquatch Stories, and both of them by myself, Dan Lindholm. That's
Okay.
Lindholm.
Very good. And if anybody out there, you guys know how to get a hold of us. You can go through the website if y'all missed it or anything like that. We can get a hold of Dan and find out. Dan, I appreciate it coming back on for round 2. It was good, buddy. Just like last time. I appreciate it.
Hey, no problem at all. I really enjoy you guys having me on. I really enjoyed it.
Very interesting, Dan. We're glad to have you, man, and it's a very interesting insight into portals. It really was.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
And you're gonna hang on after the broadcast. We're gonna talk to you for just a few minutes. All right.
Yes, sir.
All right. I'm gonna take you off right now and say our goodbyes. And again, appreciate it, buddy.
All right.
All right, Ricky. Like you said, this is some pretty good insight into portals. I don't know what to make of them, man. I really don't.
I don't either, man. Not knocking Dan in any way or what he's seen, but I know there's a lot of people out there like me, old hippies like me, that's in their mind they're thinking, well, this got to be somebody doing acid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But there's strange things that happen, man, and but still, for me, it's hard for me to encompass something of this nature until I see it personally.
Exactly. I've never hidden behind the fact that I'm a biological guy. I believe that this creature is biological. It's flesh and blood. It breathes, it bleeds, it can be killed, and it's just an animal that we hadn't caught up with. That's my belief. But I'm
Now,
open minded.
it's like I've always said, you know, you cut Sasquatch, he's gonna bleed. So
But I also consider myself very open minded, and none of us know everything. And researcher, you're a researcher, I'm a researcher, Dan's a researcher. That's the title we gave ourselves. You know, none of us went to school and got our PhD in Bigfoot. So we can all learn something. That's why we're doing this. None of us know everything. There are no experts. And so I'm open to the idea, and Dan touched on it at the beginning when he first came on, that there's some smart people out there, scientists, that say that there are other dimensions out there. I'm not smart enough to know anything about all that, but these people are, and they say that it exists. So who knows, man. But it just feels like with this creature, there's something else going on.
this is true.
All right. Just looking at our fans there, guys. Everybody, Daryl, Scottish Wildman, Todd, everybody, I appreciate you guys stopping in. Pappy, stopping in, hanging out with us. Some of our regulars. Appreciate everybody stopping in tonight. Thank you all. And again, if you guys haven't done it, hit that subscribe button. And again, just one more time, head over to our website and check us out. Report your encounters, and if you're interested in doing some research yourself, we have ways of helping you out there too. Ricky, you got anything else before we get going, buddy?
No, other than just folks, be careful out there. If you encounter one of these things, just back out and leave them alone.
That's right. That's right. Everybody, until next time, we appreciate your support, and we will see you again. Y'all be good to each other.
See you, folks.